Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan, support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development. For those of you who are keen to learn more, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We have a thought piece scheduled to drop this upcoming Sunday. So be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available on 12 different podcast platforms for your listening leisure, and we provided you with access to the links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And in today's topic discussion, our discussion is on mental health. And on the topic of mental health, I'm going to be touching on sweating the small stuff. And I have learned from experience. I told you I am a work in progress. Lots of growth and learning took place for me to be the person I am here today. But one of my fatal flaws, one of my toxic traits is sweating the small stuff. But I have to say that I've made leaps and strides. And so what I want to talk about here is a little bit about the small stuff that we can take and blow out of proportion and how that can really have a detrimental effect on our mental health. So actually, the reason why it is what it is became my mantra, became my affirmation, the saying that is quintessentially me, is because it enabled me not to sweat the small stuff. The era prior to it is what it is was me making a big deal out of every little thing. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the journey and how it is what it is has brought me to this place of just letting things be, right? Like it will be what it will be. And that doesn't mean that I'm not always putting my best foot forward, that I'm not trying, that I'm not pushing for excellence, but it does mean that I recognize what's within my realm of control, what is within my locus of control, and what is not. What is not is the small stuff that oftentimes we find ourselves sweating. And so I would propose that moving forward, where it is you find that there's things outside of your realm of control that are creating this sense of anxiety, that make you feel like you want to spiral, remember these words: don't sweat the small stuff, it is what it is. And so one of the things I used to be very particular about was like placement. I had a method to my madness for everything. Like when it came to the way I organized my clothes, organized my shoes, organized my toiletries, organized everything, even my pencil case. Like the way that I organized things was to such a detail that everyone would have to walk on eggshells because I would be highest strung the moment that one thing was like even a little bit out of place. And I remember like whenever it was the case that like a family member borrowed my car, they were like, you know what, like I always like take a mental snapshot of where everything is. I know you'll have a conniption if something is moved when you get back into the car because like you're so particular. And I didn't realize just how much of a hang up not only was to the people around me, but for me, because I had spent so much mental energy making sure that everything was aligned and ordered and organized in such a specific way. And if you told me I was anal retentive, I would have been like, no, I'm just organized and I have a method to my madness. I'm not anal retentive, but it really was anal retentive because it was like the minute little details, like even like the picture on the wall, the picture in a frame, on the shelf, the way that I organized my books. It was alphabetical, but also by height. Like there were so many different things that I did that like just showed that like I had this desire to control everything and anything, and it was creating so much stress and anxiety in my life unnecessarily. So while I still like to have things organized, I don't want things organized to the point where everyone is like walking on eggshells and something is out of place. So here, like I like to have things organized for the sake of ease of access, but then I expect to clean it up. I expect that like it's gonna get moved, it's gonna get touched, or it's gonna get messy. And it is what it is, it's okay, and I'll organize it again. But now like rather than organizing like on a daily basis, I can organize like once a week, and it is what it is. And like I used to be so meticulous about like my schedule. When I did laundry, when I cleaned, when I went to the gym, when I worked out at home, like I had just this regimen that was down to a science. But with COVID and with the chaos that COVID brought to my life, it brought me actually so much freedom. I don't need to have these rigid rules in place that like enable me to engage and interact with my environment. And so I want that for you. So I think like if you're someone who is very, I don't know, you love structure, you love routine, you love having a plan and a schedule in place, don't let it be a trap, right? Don't let it be something that engages you. Let it be something that liberates you. And I find a lot of liberty in it. But where I was like so focused on every little detail, I think that ended up being something that was hindering me rather than helping me. So I wanted to come on here and give you that tidbit of wisdom. And so the other area where I had to learn like it is what it is when things didn't go as planned. And for me, I lived my life in such a way where everything was predictable and I loved it. I loved it. So I've mentioned in a few videos, I'm not spontaneous. And I know it's like this great trait and everyone wants to be spontaneous, but I am the opposite of spontaneous. I have very little spontaneity in me, and in fact it creates a lot of stress and anxiety in me when plans shift. I would much prefer a plan get canceled altogether than a plan shift, because typically when I make a plan, I also model the plan in a mental map. And I don't know how many people do this, but I have mental maps of how things are gonna go, and I have a visualization of how that experience is going to be, and I want to simulate that in the plans that I set up for myself as much as possible. And this is still the case today. And what happens where I get like so much stress response when it is the case that plans shift and change is because I also have a contingency mental model where I also, not only do I have like the desired path, I have the alternative paths that I could potentially walk down if something went wrong. And so typically I'm comfortable, I'm fine if the desired path is within my comfort zone. It's something that I've done before. And deviate, and the deviation is still mapped in another mental model of an alternative path, because I always like foresee all of the things that could take place that might shift me from my desired path. But if my desired path, the thing that I want to do, is pulling me out of my comfort zone, then I hold very rigidly to how that experience needs to translate, because I recognize that I have a lot of blind spots in the way that I would construct that mental map for contingency planning and also for the desired path. So for that, I typically will Google, I'll research the different things that I want to do, or I'll research like the people that I want to get to know, because I want to build a mental map of these experiences, of the interactions that I'm going to have. I want to be prepared for some of the conversations, some of the points of view, some of the beliefs. I just don't want to be caught off guard. And I've realized that this is just stressful. It's stressful for me. And while it gives me great solace and great peace to build my mental maps, I think modeling the world in a mental map and then getting stressed out when the world doesn't align to the mental mapping that I've done, it is not a useful way to resist. And because I've lived in so much chaos without my mental maps where everything was kind of up in the air, I was okay. And like I was very stressed out, like it was very much outside of my comfort zone altogether, but I recognize that there's value in not mapping things out and not necessarily having a clear view of what's on the horizon. I think that we think so much creatively, we think so much more intuitively when we allow ourselves to be in the moment, interacting with our environment as things unfold, right? And that was never me. That was never me before, you know, the stalking incident or me going on the run. Like I was not the kind of person who was just like, well, let's see how things unfold. Like, as much as I am a bit of a hippie, as much as I love yoga, I am not a free-flowing human being by any stretch of the imagination, but I've become a little bit more that way. So while I still wouldn't call myself spontaneous, I learned it is what it is. I don't need to have a mental map for every desired path. I don't need to have a mental map to help me with every deviation from the desired path. I am completely comfortable navigating in the unknown, knowing that me not knowing isn't going to change the way things are going to translate. There are some things that are just what they are. It is going to be what it is going to be. And like, I think the life experiences that I've had, though they were not the most positive, they gave me that as a gift, and I do believe that it was a gift. And the last thing about sweating the small stuff, I think sweating the small stuff by way of relationships is expecting people to behave the way that you want rather than behaving the way that they are. And I think this was a thing where I would get so frustrated when people didn't exemplify or embody traits that I felt they could reach, but that it wasn't where they were at that point in time. And rather than accept them for where they were at that point in time, I think a lot of people felt judged, a lot of people felt insecure about the standards that I had of them and about the expectations that I had of them. Rather than feeling like, oh, like she thinks really highly of me, that she is putting the standard on me. It was like, wow, like this girl's really putting me through the ringer. And so because I have high standards for myself, I have high expectations of myself, I always want to push myself, I always want to challenge myself and really drive. I was doing that with my relationships, right? So I think it created a lot of insecurity and then folded into resentment because people just want to be loved for who they are. And so I have to do a lot of soul searching around that, and I think people are who they are and it is what it is. And while I love to grow, not everyone wants to grow the way I do. Not everyone wants to stretch the way that I do. And I think a lot of my friends tried to keep up with the pace of growth that I was putting myself on, but I think that it would have been important for me to recognize when I needed to let up, when they needed a break. Because for me, like, it is the Kool-Aid that I drink on a daily basis, but that's not the case for everyone. And that's okay, right? It is what it is. And so I think that those lessons by way of relationships, by way of spontaneity or stepping into the unknown, and also by way of just being particular about the little details that at the end of the day don't carry much weight. Like in 5 years, are you going to remember, why the keys were lost? Like, you're not going to remember that. It's not that significant of a detail, but then sometimes, like, if your keys are lost, it creates a really big reaction. So I think it's important that we recognize what the small stuff are and not to sweat them in order to support our mental health. In any case, that's food for thought for you. That is it, but definitely not all. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above this event. So definitely check it out. Be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.